Hey, Catherine Kyle here from greenthickies.com, and today we are talking about colonics. Now, I wanted to share my experience with you because last week I went for my very first colonic, also called, I think it's colon hydrotherapy, and I'm sure it's got another name, but most people call them colonics. And so what is a colonic? So basically it is a way of cleaning out your colon, because supposedly when we eat food, a lot of the food that we eat gets stuck to the colon walls, and that causes lots of problems and causes problems with digestion, constipation, diarrhea, that kind of thing. And supposedly there's not enough room for the waste to move, and it can also cause like reactions and things. So there's lots of problems when you've got this impacted fecal matter in your colon. So the reason why I actually went for a colonic, I mean, I have thought about this many times. When I first learned about healthy eating, and I thought, I don't know how old I was maybe 30, and I thought I've got 30 years of kind of, junk food in my system, and I was reading about it, and I was just about to go on a raw food diet, and this article convinced me not to do it. And there's lots of scare stories out there, and I almost chickened out of going for this colonic. I was reading about it, I thought, oh, I don't know, I'm going to cancel, and then I thought, no, just go and do it, just do it the once and see how it goes. And there's also lots of people talking about the benefits of colonics as well. But the main reason that I wanted to go is because I was recently diagnosed with celiac disease, which means that when you eat gluten that your body starts attacking itself. And I thought to myself, this was only about 3 weeks ago that I ate gluten, and I thought if some of the gluten has attached itself to the colon, it hasn't quite got through my body, then maybe my body is going to keep on attacking itself because I've still got the gluten in my system. I'm not sure whether it all has come out or not. So that's the reason why I decided to do it. And I was also having a lot of kind of diarrhea and running to the toilet, felt like I had a stomach bug all day long, and I just didn't feel good at all. My digestion was a complete mess, which is understandable when you've been eating gluten with celiac disease. So I went for the colonic, and she said that that is a very common reason why a lot of people get colonics, is when they've accidentally eaten gluten, been glutened. They've gone to a restaurant and they've been told it's a gluten-free meal, but actually there was a sneaky bit of gluten hiding in that meal somewhere, and they just know it. They feel awful, they feel the signs that they've been glutened, so they go for a colonic. So she said that's very common. So I thought, oh, that's interesting, glad I'm not the only one. So what did it feel like having the colonic? And I'm not a kind of person who likes talking about gory details of things. That is really not, it's not my thing. Like, I could never be a nurse, honestly. I don't like, body fluids and talking about that kind of thing at all. Makes me a bit squeamish. So you can go and Google exactly what they do, but basically they, you sit on a tube, and this tube goes into your colon, and it pumps sterilized water into your colon. It goes round, however it goes, like that, and then when it gets to the end, it releases the water, and it takes all the impacted stuff with it, and it comes out through a tube, and like a transparent tube, and then out. So you do that numerous times. I think it was like I was sitting there for an hour, and there's numerous times that this goes through the same process, so you have it cleaned again and again and again. So she did everything. I didn't have to do anything, thankfully. I could just sit back and relax. And although some people described it as relaxing, I wouldn't really describe it as relaxing. It kind of felt like every 10 minutes it felt like I was about to have diarrhea, and that wasn't a very nice feeling at all. But I kept telling myself that this is normal, this is how it's supposed to feel, and within like a couple of seconds the feeling went away. So it wasn't like I felt uncomfortable all the time. It was just like 2 seconds every 10 minutes it felt really uncomfortable, and the rest of the time I was just sitting chatting with the lady who was doing it, and we were talking about diets. And funnily enough, she had a very similar experience to me. She used to be a vegan, and then she was cooking for her husband all these meals, and both her and her husband became very anemic. So they decided to include more animal products in their diet, but she can't tolerate dairy because she had eczema and things for years, and then she stopped eating dairy and it all went away, just the same as what happened to me. So that was funny that we both had a very similar experience with our diets. And so what did she say? So she said that she can tell so much about a person's diet, about a person's health, just from what comes out in this transparent tube. So what did she say about my health? Now, although I have had a healthy diet for a long time, like I said, I've been having gluten maybe like every week, even though I had undiagnosed celiac disease, so that has massively impacted on my health, and I've had a bit of a health breakdown over the past few months. That's been one of the things that have been found so far related to my health. So I know that my health is suffering despite my 80% great diet, but now it's 100% good diet. So she said that my health, according to what she can see, that I'm generally fine, that I don't have like massive health problems. But what she could see, she said it was a bit mucousy, which shows that I need digestive enzymes, which I have been feeling better for taking digestive enzymes with my meals, because I know that my small intestines are completely messed up, so therefore my digestion's messed up, and so the digestive enzymes are really helping me. So when I remember to take those with my meals, I do feel better for it. And she also said that I'm not, she could tell like which major food groups you digest properly. So she can tell, do you have problems digesting fat, carbs or protein? And she said that I have problems digesting carbs, and by carbs she meant leafy greens, and that's what she showed it to me, and what I could see was all these little bits of leafy greens like flowing through the tube. It's just like generally transparent and quite clear, and then there's like leafy green, leafy green, leafy green flowing across the tube, because I eat loads of leafy greens. And I thought, well, what might be the reason for that? And I was thinking, well, I eat loads of leafy greens in my green Thickies in the morning, but that's all blended up, so it's definitely not going to be the leafy greens from the green Thickies. And of course that's another great reason for drinking green Thickies, is because it pre-digests the food, so it blends everything up, so you don't have half as much work to digest all this food, and it's really good for the colon, because things don't get stuck in there, big chunks of food don't get stuck in there. So I thought, well, it's not my green Thickies, not my green smoothies, then it's probably my lunch, because what I've been having every day is a big bowl of soup, and I put loads and loads of kale in there. And I think what's happening is when I'm eating the soup, usually I'm really good at chewing my food like loads of times, because I've had IBS for as long as I can remember, and they always say, chew your food 30-40 times. So I've got in this habit of chewing my food really, really well to avoid stomach aches and things. Not that it ever really worked brilliantly, but I know it is good to chew your food. But I think what happens with the soup is that because it's a liquid, the big chunks of food are flowing down the back of my throat before I've had a chance to chew them properly. So I think that's what's happening. And yeah, so that's interesting that she said that the leafy greens were the carbs, because at the moment you might have heard that I've started a ketogenic diet, which is a much lower carb diet than I'm used to, and I don't eat any grains at the moment. So main carbs are things like leafy greens, vegetables, nuts, seeds, that kind of thing, and coconut. So so that's what she said. But interestingly enough, she said that I am digesting my fat fine, which I thought was interesting, because my diet is now about 70% fat. And I thought, well, that's great that I'm actually digesting the fat fine, because that is what most of my diet is made up from. So I would have been worried if I hadn't have been digesting the fat properly, because it might have been, some people say, don't have such a high fat diet, and this is debatable, but at the moment I'm experimenting with the ketogenic diet, which is a very high fat diet, so I'm digesting the fats just fine. So that's great news. But I said that, how can you tell if you're not digesting the fats, and what would happen? And she said that one guy came in and he was really, really skinny, but he couldn't digest the fat and he could never put weight on because he was eating the wrong type of fat. And she said it really, really matters what type of fat you eat. So we've been told a lie that all fat is bad for you, but it's not that in the slightest. It is the type of fat. That one type of fat is really bad for you, like the hydrogenated fats, the rancid vegetable oils, but the good type of fats that come from meat and eggs and seeds and nuts and coconut, they are amazing for your health, and that is what we need to be having more of in our diet. So she said that this guy, he was eating things like sausage rolls and like pastries and things that had a lot of hydrogenated fats and trans fats in them, and she could see all those fats in his transparent tube that came out, and she said that it'd been impacted so long because he'd had a whole lifetime of eating these fats. He was really ill as a result, and when he got all these bad fats out of his system, he felt amazing. So that's the kind of thing people go to a colonic for if they've had a lifetime of junk food and they haven't yet changed the diet, because a diet can really get rid of a lot of these problems. So how did I feel afterwards? I'll tell you how I felt before. I was exhausted. I don't think I'd had a really good night's sleep the night before, and I was feeling really exhausted, and I've been feeling so tired lately that I literally, it was up a really steep hill in Edinburgh, and I couldn't barely walk up that hill. I was like a snail walking up that hill to get to the clinic. I was so tired and I was almost falling asleep, and when I got out of there, I just came out of the clinic and I felt so wide awake. I felt amazing. I did feel more energetic, lighter. I felt really, really good, and she did warn me that it can cause detox effects. You might feel tired afterwards, and I do remember feeling like later on that day I felt really tired. I went for a little sleep and I woke up feeling really good, but then I did have like 2 or 3 days of feeling really exhausted, and I'm not sure if it was completely related to the colonic because I was messing around with all sorts of other things at the same time trying to improve my health, but I did have a few days of feeling really tired, and for the last 2 days I have felt really, really good. I have felt like almost like I'm back to normal again, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I've been doing lots of work on my health, and I'm going to share that with you in another blog post. I'm going to share everything I've been doing, but I really do feel like the colonic did have a really good impact on my health, so I am really pleased that I went for it, and something I've had on my radar for a long time, and I'm so glad I went through with it because I really think it did make a difference. And I think it was good timing as well, because I'd just eaten the gluten and I think I really needed to get it out of my system. So the question is, would I ever have a colonic again? Well, I don't think I would go for a regular course of colonics, and she did actually, sometimes you go for these therapies and they always recommend you come back, and they're obviously a business and they need to make money, so you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt and think, well, do I really need that? Do I need to come back all the time, or is once enough? And she was very honest with me, and she said, I'm not really sure that you do need to come back. I think you might be okay with just the one. So I really appreciated her honesty, and I really don't feel like I do need to keep going back over and over again, because I have a really good diet now, and I feel like that's cleared me out. And if I didn't have a good diet, or say if I accidentally got glutened again, then I would definitely go straight back and have a colonic again and get it out of my system. But I'm really hoping for the meantime, especially because I'm making all my food myself at home, that I will be able to avoid gluten, and therefore I'm not going to keep going back. I don't feel the need. My diet is really, really healthy. At the moment I'm on a ketogenic diet, and it is full of leafy greens, and if you want to get the meal plan that I have been following for the last few years with great success, if you go to greenthickies.com/leaf system, and you can get 1 month of free meal plans, and they're actually gluten-free, dairy-free. I just wish I've been following it 100%, because this never would have happened, but you live and learn. And the diet that I'm following, the exact diet I'm following, if you go to greenthickies.com/start keto, and you can find more about that there, and that's also a gluten-free, dairy-free, very healthy whole grain diet. And you can find out about that there. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope that's helped you if you're ever considering getting a colonic yourself. Take care, bye!